many people are carrying the wrong knife because of videos like this?
The only knife you'll ever need.
The only knife you'll ever need doesn't exist. I've carried a lot of knives over the last 20 years. This is the Buck 110, this is the Spyderco Matriarch, and this is the Gerber EAB Lite. These knives couldn't be more different, and that's because life is constantly changing, and so too must the tools we carry. This Buck is the first knife I ever bought. Well, not this one. That one is at the bottom of Table Rock Lake, and I replaced that one with this one back in 2011. I've been through a lot with this knife. It's my favorite knife for hunting, fishing, and camping. It's a beautiful classic design and it's incredibly versatile. Many years ago, somebody even tried to stick me with a 110 just like this one, and I still love it. To me, it's the quintessential outdoorsman's folding knife. But just because it's my favorite doesn't mean it's what I always carry. And that's really what this video is all about, choosing the right tool for the job. For $65, you're getting a knife that's made in the USA, has a lifetime warranty. The blade is heat-treated 420HC stainless steel. The handle is ebony and brass. It comes in at a hefty 7.4 ounces. The blade is 3 3/4 long, and tip to tip, it's just over 8.5 beautiful inches. If you're curious about how to date a Buck knife, this little symbol right here corresponds with the year made. Buck put together a chart that you can use to date yours, and I'll put a link to it in the description. Let me know how old yours is. The brass will tarnish over time, as brass does. You can see I haven't spruced this one up in a while, but it polishes easily with a little autosol. I don't mind the patina, but I don't mind the polish either. The lock feels rock solid. I've actually seen people say that it's impossible to close once they've opened it. It does require deliberate pressure to release, and one should close the blade carefully. The Buck is incredibly sharp right out of the box. But if you find this task to be impossible, I suggest you skip buying a knife for now and go buy an Xbox and exercise those thumbs. This video isn't sponsored. I bought all these knives with my own money, and I'd buy them again. In fact, the only one I haven't bought twice is this Spyderco. Where the Buck is a generalist, the Spyderco Matriarch is a self-defense specialist. It's as menacing as the Buck is beautiful. It would make a velociraptor a little jealous. This is a wicked knife designed to do one job and to do it exceptionally well. It's a slightly smaller version of the Spyderco Civilian. The curved, serrated blade is made to decisively control an assailant, provided you know what you're doing. While it's much more affordable than the aforementioned Civilian, you're still going to spend over $100 for a knife that, if you're lucky, you'll never use. It's made in Japan and also has a lifetime warranty. The blade is heat-treated VG10 stainless steel. The handle is fiberglass reinforced nylon, or FRN. It's half the weight of the Buck, a trim 3.5 ounces. The blade is about 3.5 inches long, and tip to tip it's just under 8.5. The clip is ambidextrous and will actually mount in 4 different positions. You can see the paint on mine has almost completely worn away from the years I carried it. The blade's purposeful design is what sold me on it initially. I needed a knife for self-defense that I could easily and reliably open one-handed. This does it without any mechanical assists that could fail. You can use the thumb hole or you can use the Emerson opener, which will open it automatically when you pull it out of your pocket. It does take practice, but once you get it, you've got it, and it's lightning fast. The Matriarch is the best value purpose-built self-defense blade that I've ever found. I used to carry it every day for work as a reliable backup that gave me peace of mind, but life moves on and I'm grateful I don't need to carry it anymore. Now it's just a dusty memory in a dark desk drawer. And that's my point, as life changes, so must our tools. These days, I'm more concerned with cutting cardboard than reliable backups, which brings us to something practical and affordable. Now, we will talk about the ridiculous complaints that people have about the Buck and the Spyderco here in just a minute, but first let's look at an underrated utilitarian workhorse, the Gerber EAB. What it lacks in beauty, menace, and size, it more than makes up for in utility, and it appears to reproduce. It's made in China, has a limited lifetime warranty, uses replaceable blades, and has a very rugged stainless steel construction. It's incredibly light, just 2.2 ounces, and right at 5 inches tip to tip, just under 3 inches closed. It is a little cold in the workshop today, so 3 inches isn't anything to be ashamed of. Best of all, it's only $12. I'll put links in the description to all 3 knives in case you think any of them will scratch an itch for you. While I don't consider myself an enthusiast, I do appreciate knives as tools. Most of the complaints I've seen about Gerbers have been related to the quality of their blades, and obviously that is not an issue with the EAB. What does EAB even stand for? The package says Exchangeable Utility Blade. EUB? Probably should have looked that up first. Oh well. I was drawn to this knife because it's simple, it's small, it's lightweight, and it's rugged. It does what I need it to do. It doesn't have any fancy features like a quick release button or a spot to store a spare blade, but a lack of features doesn't tell the whole story on its thoughtful design. The blade is secured by a screw, not a spring. A screw is foolproof. It's not going to fail. Not only that, but the screw was designed to be a little proud of the handle so that if you find yourself without a screwdriver, you can use a coin or a washer to change the blade. Very good design. The clip is removable if you want to carry it in your pocket and not on your pocket, and the liner lock is both solid and reliable. I carry this and I use this every single day, which is why I have 3 of them sitting here. It's so small that it's quite adept at playing hide and seek. Last time I found it in the abyss between my driver's seat and the center console of my truck, so I ordered a couple spares. I think that the light has the better grip, but maybe I'm just used to it. Neither are particularly comfortable to hold, not at all like the Buck. One of my favorite reviews for this one was from a guy who said he had to return it because the blade it came with was dull. I concede that I would be annoyed if I bought a brand new knife with a dull blade, but the whole point of this knife is that the blade is replaceable. When it gets dull, you put in a sharp one, and when that one gets dull, you put in another sharp one. Quite a few people complained that the clip was too tight and others that it was too loose. I must be lucky because they all worked just fine for me. The most common complaint was that it took 2 hands to open. I don't know, guys. I always read the reviews and I always find things like this. It doesn't matter what it is, a knife they can't figure out how to open or to close, a screwdriver that didn't come with instructions. I don't know. Online reviews are becoming less and less useful if they were ever useful to begin with. So just for fun, I checked on the bad reviews for the Buck and the Spyderco. Most of the complaints about the Buck were about the fit and finish and about shipping issues. If you've never bought anything that didn't require a password and a click, I'm going to blow your mind. There are these places that you can drive to where you get out of your truck, you go inside, and you get to actually look at the exact thing you're going to buy before you buy it. And if you do buy it, the shipping is so fast that it's going to arrive back at home at the same time you do. The other major complaint I see a lot about the Buck is that it's outdated. They say the steel is outdated and the design is outdated and the aesthetics are outdated. It's true that 420HC isn't as hard as some of the more cutting-edge carbon steels, but that also means it's easier to sharpen. They're entitled to their opinion, but in my opinion, it's not outdated. It's a classic that has withstood the test of time. As for the Spyderco, almost all the complaints I found were about it not being practical and being tedious to sharpen. We'll talk about sharpening it here in just a second, but if you're carrying this knife to open Amazon boxes, you're one of the people carrying the wrong knife. There are plenty of fine box cutters on the market that are built for that job. There are plenty of generalist knives that will also do that job. Am I wrong? Is it crazy to expect somebody to buy the right tool for the job? Or at least not to complain if they chose to buy the wrong tool for the job? Alright, let's talk about sharpening. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button or become a member. It helps more than you realize, and it will probably bring you so much good luck that you'll never lose a knife in Table Rock Lake. It is moderately more difficult to sharpen a curved and serrated blade like this. That's true. But if you ever actually have to use this knife for its intended purpose, to the point that it needs to be sharpened, something in your life has gone horribly wrong. And if you're still around to sharpen it, consider yourself lucky. Set yours aside in a dark desk drawer because sometimes it's better to leave the past behind.